Alright, let's take a look at FUMC in Marietta. To start with, it's really a pretty good looking site. Let's go back to the home page here. I've been browsing around. You have some nice pictures here, nice little animation. A lot of these pictures show people's faces and people smiling and happy things. A lot of churches you'll find just have a static picture of the building on the front, which is very silly because, as I've said before, a lot on the site, church is not about the building, it's about the people inside. You do a very nice job with that. But let's get into some things we could fix. I noticed a lot of click here all over the site. Click here, click here, click here. People know what to click. They've been on the internet a while. If they've gotten to your site, they know how to click. If you're going to do that, you say click here for this, click here for this, click here for this, click here for, it's not necessary. If they see underlined text, they know what to expect. So I lose a lot of the click here just to kind of clean up your text throughout the site. MP3s take us to this bizarre page that has worship and worship information, and then a news feed that's not really a news feed that we'll get into later. Then your sermon MP3s, and then frequently asked questions about worship, and just all kinds of stuff. I would suggest splitting that into separate pages. Specifically about the sermons, I love that you have raw MP3s I can download and that you go back a good distance. However, I would strongly suggest you start a podcast for this. Just set up a feed with iTunes and so it can pull them in automatically. As a user, I may not remember every week to come out and download the newest sermon, but if it's a podcast, the newest sermon will automatically come to me. And the more content you can automatically push to your congregation, the better. So I would highly recommend you get that going. Back on the front page, you have online giving that just goes to a blank page. That's never good. And this page, somehow the menu gets screwed up too. I'm not sure what's going on there. So if we go back here, go to Give, Online Giving, that page works. If we go to the Visitor Overview, the welcome video from the pastor, it's a decent little video. The content's not bad, but it's in QuickTime, which is probably not a great decision because some people can't see that. If you embed it just as a flash video from YouTube or Vimeo, it'll work better. The audio all pours out of my left speaker. It's not balanced right, and the image is kind of squished. So I'd spend a little time cleaning up the technical aspects of that video. Again, the content's solid, but I would work on some of that. Going again back to the visitor overview, we have a what to expect on Sundays. Perfect. Click on it. It doesn't tell me squat about what to actually expect on Sundays. What do I wear? How do I get there? Where do I park? Is parking a problem? Should I take a shuttle in? Some churches do that. Do I need to bring my Bible, or should I be prepared to stand up and it's more of a rambunctious worship service, or I don't know what to expect. I have a few links here on the left for nursery and Sunday school, which is useful. But you need a whole lot more in here. What to expect is not at all telling me what to expect. Going into the nursery options, it's a good page, but starts out with a problem. Located below the sanctuary in Building B. What on earth is Building B? I've never been to your church before. I have no idea what Building B is. I need to be able to click on that and get some information about Building B. Well, I said before you did a great job of not showing the building in here, and I still stand by that. You do need to have a section dedicated to your building to get people familiar with it. I want to know what Building B is, where I'm going. When I first pull up to the church, I'd like to know what I'm looking for. If I'm driving down a street I'm not familiar with, I'd like to already have a picture in my head of what the church looks like, be a little more comfortable as I come up. As is now, no clue what the church looks like. When I'm coming down the road, hopefully my GPS is pretty accurate and it'll drop me right off, but we'll see. Down at the bottom I see you use Details Communications to do your design. They did a nice job. I've worked with them before on some stuff. They do very well, but get their link out of there. You paid them hundreds or thousands of dollars for this design, and now they're taking some link juice of yours and pouring it off to their site. The result of this is hurting you a little bit in the search results and helping them a little bit. You've paid them money. Unless they have some special deal with you, get that out of there. No need for that. Talking about search engine optimization a bit, your page titles could use some work. I've seen a whole lot worse before. Your nursery options page matches your nursery options. Your mission and ministry is mission and ministry, but you need a little more content up here. And I'll link to that in the post that contains this video. About us. Your staff directory, this is an interesting page. I first saw it and said, wow, this is pitiful. It needs some work, you need pictures and all that. And I noticed this little click the search button. So I clicked it, and pow, great little directory. It's wonderful. I don't understand what the problem is with this, but all this junk needs to go away. It needs to just land on this page right here where I can click through, see who I'm gonna, having this kind of thing is wonderful. I know I need to meet with a guy named Forrest, no idea who he is. I can click here, at least see his picture and have some idea of who I'm looking for. I do fix a few little things. I add a bit more content, and it's interesting that if I click their picture, I get a blown up version of the picture. I don't want that. I click their picture because I want to know more about them. So that the text link and the picture link should both go to the detail page here. And speaking of, you seem to have a details communications, like it's like a leftover test link or something. You got Tammy Cochran and Ken Cross and details communications. It's kind of silly. I'm not sure what that's about. Let's see, the give page. As I said before, people know if they see underlined text, it's a link, which is why you don't need to say things like click here. Especially in this case where if I click here, yeah, nothing happens because the link's over here. The problem on this page and some others is you have underlined text that's not a link, it's for emphasis. And that's kind of a big no-no. People expect underlined text to be a link. So up here you bolded it, right here I do the same. Lose the underline, make it bold. Lose the underline, make it bold. If it's an underline, it needs to be a link. Let's see. The connect page. We talked about this a little bit. You have your news feed, but it's not a news feed at all. It's just a bunch of text on there. A lot of people use Google Reader and similar things to actually get a feed of news sent to them. I follow hundreds of different blogs and sites and and churches and stuff, and all their information comes directly to me, but in your case it doesn't. You're forcing people to come visit your site every time and hope that they remember to come visit your site every time. I would probably just scrap this thing and make a blog instead where you can post these new items. They'll go out automatically to people either via Google Reader, you could have it go to your Twitter account, which you don't seem to have, your Facebook page, which you seem to have abandoned. You set up where people can get email updates from that automatically. A whole lot more options if you just do a blog instead of this fake feed thing. Speaking of Facebook, I noticed you have a Facebook group that seems to be fairly active, a couple hundred members. You don't really have a page though, and I would really recommend for churches you have a page instead of a group, which there's no quick switch over to a page, but go ahead and create one, get it going. Has a lot of advantages down the line. And you really need to probably spend some more time out there. I don't know how large your congregation is, but numbers show about 50% of your congregation is probably on Facebook. So assuming that's, I don't know, 2,000 people, I'm not quite sure how big your congregation is, but say half of it is 2,000 people, and statistically Facebook users spend about 7 hours a week on the site. That means your congregation is spending 14,000 hours a week on Facebook, and you're not really out there with them, which is just insane. It's very silly. Same with Twitter. The numbers aren't quite as big. I'd say maybe 20% of your congregation is out there. But again, if you set up a blog, you can have it automatically push that stuff out to Twitter, so people that prefer to consume information that way can get it. And you can also keep an eye on things and see when people mention your church, make sure you're not letting things fall through the cracks there. A couple more quick little things. If we go to connect, save the date, it's a pitiful little page. Someone just dumped a bunch of text on here and left it. You really need to spend just like 90 seconds in here. Just bold some things, put some line breaks in, just kind of clean it up. This looks like a heading, Easter services, and then some things under it, but it's just it's just chaos. Someone needs to just spend a few minutes and clean that up. Similarly, you have your calendar, which is painfully slow to load, but it's through that virtual EMS, which I know is making it load faster would be kind of tricky, so I can't fault you for that. It's certainly something to look at. But there's a few other minor issues I have with it once it finally decides to load in here. Yeah, it's quite slow. So it has this calendar through EMS, which, because it's tied to that, loads in automatically. It's wonderful. If I have a Bible study tonight and I can't remember where it is, I can come in here, see where it is. Perfect. A few problems though. One, I can't get back to your site easily. I'd say, okay, there's no link, must be the logo. Click the logo, I get some weird blank page. So I got to go back a few times. The other problem is it's almost overwhelming. You need something that shows just the highlights for me, and I think that's really what this save the date page is, but I think if you clean that up it'd be a little better. The next step after that would be to make it where I say, okay, cool, youth, I guess that Arizona mission trip, I might be interested in that. My teenage son might want to go, but there's no more info. I need to be able to click on that and get info about who to contact, where they're going, how much it costs, what they're doing, pictures from last year's trip maybe, that kind of stuff. So there you go. That's a good bit to work on, so let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.